Poker's legendary champions, next generation stars, and tireless ambassadors of the game, sharing their wisdom and guiding your journey to high achievement on the green felt. This is Tactical Tuesday on Chasing Poker Greatness with your hosts, Brad Wilson and Jon Chai.
Welcome, my friend, to another episode of the Chasing Poker Greatness podcast. As always, this is your host, the founder of ChasingPokerGreatness.com, Coach Brad Wilson. Today's Tuesday, which makes it a very tactical day. I'm joined by the one, the only, the wise man, Jonathan Chai.
Not going to look too wise in either of these hands, I think. Spoiler alert. Yeah. So
I haven't actually seen the action, but tell us about the theme of today's show.
The theme of these two hands is me trying out some donking as a pre-flop caller on the flop. I think just general common wisdom is that like donking is pretty fishy or generally not a good play. I don't know if that's where the word donk comes from, like because you're playing like a donkey.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, okay.
It is exactly where it came from.
So yeah, I mean, I give it a try. I think there are some times though, like all that being said, I think there are some times where donking is like, more than acceptable. I think it's like maybe a good play. And so I try it out in a couple spots. And yeah, just kind of wanted to get your feedback on how to get better at doing this and maybe get better at recognizing spots where it's better than like just checking and check raising or check calling, doing kind of the normal thing.
Yeah, I would say that like the solvers are pretty big fans of donking on specific turn cards and on specific flops given specific range compositions, right? Because solvers more looking at equity distribution and all of these things. And I don't know why donking feels so unnatural, right? But it feels like you just need the ghost of some dead fish inhabit your body to force you to donk. It just feels wrong for some reason.
Not only does it feel like weird, but like I don't know, like I haven't like studied any sims for donking. I at least donking the flop, and so everything from like size to like is this the right board texture are going to be questions for me in these two hands.
Yeah, and I think like initiative is almost like a phantom, right? That we let kind of rule the decisions that we make. But the reality is, I don't even think initiative is like a real thing, right? It's like you have a turn card that promotes lots of hands for the out of position caller. Right. And therefore the out of position caller wants to bet on these specific turn cards. You have certain flops that favor the out of position pre-flop caller. Therefore, the out-of-position pre-flop caller wants to bet on some specific boards. Right. It makes a lot of sense, but humans being what we are, struggle, including yours truly. It's donking. It's a tough thing. The weaker players among us, however, they enjoy donking and seem to be quite prolific.
It's not tough for them. Like maybe I should be talking to one of them, not you.
Yeah, they don't understand. They don't understand the rules. The other player has initiative. You can't break the rule. Like you can just bet. I know you have an option to check or bet, but like you don't take it.
It's not a real option.
It's not a real option. Coincidentally, if you would like to neutralize some flop leads. I have a course, Nuffle. I would suggest investing in that. All right, so let's look at this hand, Mr. Donk Man. See how she goes.
So this is a 500 NL hand where I'm in the big blind with Queen of Diamonds, Jack of Spades. The button opens to $11. Fish in the big blind fish in the small blind. Kind of funny. Maybe it is fish in the big one. Fish in the small blind calls to 11.
Yes. And Jon calls from the big blind.
And that call. The flop is 9-8-6, 2 spades and a diamond. So I have two overs, backdoor flush draw, and a gutter to the nuts. Small blind checks, which is pretty much what we'd expect. I think most of the time we'd also expect me to check here in the big blind, but I decided to go ahead and try taking a stab at this flop.
Puts on his Donkin shoes and donks 1/3 into the pre-flop razor with your gut shot and overcards. Flop 6, 8, 9, 2 spades. John has a queen jack with the jack of spades. I'm guessing that it just gets through and life is good and easy for you, huh?
Nope.
No.
At least the small blind folds. We're not going to get like too crazy or too complicated.
Yeah. So only one fish left now. And turns to king of spades. So we have
let's talk about the flop.
No, king of diamonds. I mean, you want to talk about the flop?
Yeah, like size and like, is this even? Do you think this is a good flop?
I think it's fine. Yeah. I think it's somewhat reasonable. Again, this is a board that you're going to connect with quite often. You've got a hand that has some like natural bluffs on like a 5 or a 7, maybe even like an 8 or a 9. Like those kind of cards. So I don't think it's like, it can't be the worst thing that I've ever seen. I also think that like the button's not going to be betting this flop at a high clip anyway. And they're likely playing fairly straightforward facing the donk. So basically I think the button's going to fold quite often, which will leave you heads up with the fish in the small blind, which I think is quite nice. So, yeah, I'm on board with the donk, and I think your sizing is fine. You could also go, like, half pot, but I think a third is fine, too.
So I think there are two, like, qualities to this flop that make donking acceptable, I guess, in our eyes. So one is, like, having pretty good equity, range versus range equity with the pre-flop razor on the button. I think these, like, middling boards is, like, really where it starts becoming, like, it's reasonable to start donking. Like I think an ace king queen flop would be not a good flop to donk because my range as a preflop caller doesn't smash that board, whereas like the razor has all the sets and two pairs and stuff. And then I think like the really really good boards, even better than 9-8-6 two-tone, would be like the low rundown boards, like the 6-4-3s or whatever. Yeah, 4-5-6 boards are maybe I even have a slight equity advantage on that board. I guess like maybe one thing to talk about that's like really minor point is that maybe one reason not to donk this flop is that the small blind calling, the fish just has maybe like smashes this board texture even harder than I do.
Maybe, but I mean, like they may smash it, but I think that it's not the end of the world. Like I think a lot of the hands that smash this board just start by check raising, which gives you a pretty good path to barreling if they don't check raise. Mm-hmm. So I think like it's not the end of the world. Like if they check raise big and you have to fold your queen high, then you're folding a gut shot with overs. It's not like the most painful thing in the world.
Yeah. Okay. And then the second thing I was going to say after flop texture is, and I guess this is sort of a function of flop texture, is like this is a situation where we would expect the button to be checking back quite frequently. And so we're unlikely to get a check raise in with our hand because, the button could easily just be checking back, a hand as strong as aces on this 8-9-6 flop versus two players. So yeah, I think those two things in conjunction are sort of what I'm looking for as well when I'm deciding whether to donk or not.
Yeah, I think it's reasonable, John. Reasonable situation. Let's see what you do here on the turn. So to recap, the board is king 9-8-6, the king 9 of diamonds, the 8-6 of spades. You've got queen jack high. You decide to bet 70% on the turn, and the villain calls. Biggest thing here is like I think I do like a bet, but I don't really like your sizing.
You want bigger?
Yeah, I think like 1.5x. I think bigger is definitely better here. Yeah, I think
because we're already kind of polar on the flop, but we're definitely polarizing on this turn. Like the king of diamonds, like we have
for sure
2 pair plus, like maybe not even 2 pair, like maybe just like set plus and draws.
Well, I think you have 2 pair like at. Yeah, I mean, probably 2 pair plus.
Yeah, probably 2 pair.
I would imagine you betting 8-9.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think like 1.5x makes a lot more sense here than 70%, especially like as you said, even though your bet was small in the flop, it is pretty polar. And so like just 1.5x makes a lot more sense to me than 70%, giving their bluff catchers just a really great price to peel and realize additional positional advantage.
Turn size as well. I think just going really, really polar starting from the turn is makes a lot of sense.
Cool. So we have our first little fumble, and now we have a 4-liner. The river comes a 5 of hearts, and now you decide to throw out the big bet on the 4-liner. And I don't know that this bet makes a lot of sense, really. I think this 5 is almost certainly better for villain. Now that we've like broken down the hand and talked about like what your range is, you've got like sets and 2 pair.
All right, like I'm no longer betting those hands on the river.
Right, you're no longer. So now the hands that you're betting are like
straights. Yeah.
Which it's kind of hard for you to have a straight, right? Maybe like A7 of spades, A7 of diamonds.
Maybe even a hand like 6-7.
Maybe 6-7. But
and then like
I just
flopped straights, like the 10-7s and
the 10-7. But villain's gonna have like all the 7-8, all the 7-9, all the king 7, all the 6-7, all the pocket 7s. Like they're gonna have so many different 7x that like I just have to imagine this card is much better for them than you.
Okay. So what does that mean for our river action?
I would check.
Yeah, just give up.
Yeah, I would just check on this card.
Okay.
Lots of cards I think would be better to bet. Mostly static cards, but this one just changes things.
Yeah, I agree. I wasn't really sure what size to go on the river, and I was just like, well, I'll do my best to maybe try to fold out like 2 pair or like king X of spades or something like that, with a pretty big bet. And then I was like, but I don't want to go that big because they just have a lot of 7x that is just gonna snap off 2x pot or 3x pot jam or something. So I was like kind of just stuck in a bind, and I was like, okay, I don't know, I'm just gonna bet this size.
Yeah, it's most likely that you should just be checking range on the river.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Including 7-10.
Right. Just let their spades and diamonds just blast off when I do have, hands I can check call. And then like, yeah, it's just way easier to manage my range by checking range on this river.
Yeah, and you can also check raise at 7-10 and put their 7x in the blender too.
Yeah.
Which is nice.
Yeah.
So, end result, we made our donk sacrifice of 118. Villain calls, which is not a good sign.
When you have queen high.
Not a good sign when you have queen high on a 4-liner. And they do in fact have ace 7, so they even had all the ace 7 offs in their range as well, which is quite well, basically
they don't fold any 7s.
Yeah, they're not folding any 7s. And I think, like, had you bet 1.5x on the turn, it's quite likely that they would have folded this 7.
Yeah, this one would have folded, yeah.
But, c'est la vie. Donk.
I think my exact hand and my suits are also, like, hilarious for bluffing the river. It's like, wow, I'm sort of hoping he has jack 10 or spades or diamonds.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I have a jack and a spade and a diamond.
Yeah, you have all the wrong cards.
But I'm going to try anyways.
Well, once you start out being a donk, you gotta follow through.
Commitment. We talked about that in a Tackle Tuesday a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, you gotta commit. All right, so let's see if this second hand you can fare a little better when attempting out your new donk strategy. Stay tuned.
Are you a lone wolf searching for the ultimate pack? The CPG Wolf program is a close-knit brotherhood hell-bent on one thing only: chasing poker greatness. Powered by bleeding-edge wolf strats and led by Coach Brad and his lieutenants, CPG Wolves are systematically prepared for almost any spot they'll encounter on the green felt. If you want to plug into an elite team and have a step-by-step game plan to realize your full poker potential, you can apply at cpgwolves.com. Space is limited, and the pack is only as strong as its weakest member. So only the hungriest, grittiest, and most driven will be accepted into the program. Applications are open at cpgwolves.com.
All right. Welcome back from the break in this Donkalicious episode. Jon, you want to start diving into your second heroic attempt at donking?
Yeah, so I'm in the big blind with 6-4 of spades, playing 5-10 no limit. The small, it's pretty much the same action as the last hand. The cutoff opens. Cutoff is a reg. I guess the small blind is a fish. Don't remember exactly. This hand was played a little while ago. I call with the 6-4 of spades, so we go 3 ways. Oh, not a bad flop this time. Flop the nuts on 5-3 deuce with 2 clubs.
Yeah, I have to imagine this. I mean, most likely would turn out better for you. I guess
there some clubs on the turn.
Yeah, so some bad things that can happen. So you decided to donk, and
bigger this time,
as the fish of old do, you size up linearly, which brings your hand here. So, I have gut shot with overcards. Let's bet a third. I have a straight. Let's bet like 60% somehow. Yeah, let's bet more. Well done. And exactly like last time, the cutoff calls and the small blind folds. So now there is 170 in the pot. You have 927 left. The turn's a 9 of hearts. Villain has you covered, by the way. And you still have the nuts here. So
I think I'm going to bet again. I would like to try to set up for a reasonable size overbet on the river, assuming the river's not, some terrible card for my range or even my exact hand. So I go pretty big here. I bet 125 into 170. And the cutoff calls again.
Calls, yeah. I don't think that you get to check the turn on this board, or I don't think you should check the turn. Just because I think a lot of villains, even their overpairs, are probably going to be fairly tentative about betting the turn and likely checking back.
Yeah.
So I do think that you need to bet. Again, we could size up as well.
Yeah, just go 1.5x
90% or 1.5x as well.
Yeah. I think that is something that I'll definitely try next time, is sizing up even bigger on the turn.
Yeah, there would be, if you size up 1.5x, there would be 600 in the pot. You would have 700 left if you so chose to overbet jam.
Yeah. That would have been I would be giving villain a better price on the river than the 2x spot.
Well, you still have the nuts.
Whew.
So now you're just going to bet big, right?
Yeah, I think I should only have one size here. I don't know what you think.
I don't know. I mean,
I have my bluffs, not that you need to know, but for the viewers, are going to be my clubs, my 6-7s.
Yes, and we promise that you'll bet with 6-7. Go rewind and watch the first hand. And gut shots with the overcards with prime donkey.
Worst river ever? Whatever. Put it in.
All in, baby. I mean, I guess let's talk about it, right? So let's think about aces, which is one of the better hands that villain can have here. Is aces just thrilled to call off versus 2x donk rip?
No, I don't think his bluff catchers are ever thrilled to call, but I think that a lot of them at least will seriously consider it once everything breaks out.
What would you do here with aces?
Call.
You just call it versus 2x jam.
Yeah, I when the front door flush breaks and the gutters don't get there and the the 4x doesn't get there, I don't think I'd be able to fold the river with aces.
Yeah. It's quite interesting because it's quite interesting because like I don't know. Like if they have aces, I mean a lot of times they have the ace of clubs. If they have the ace of clubs, then it's just like a clear fold, I think. Like I just can't.
I don't even know how much like that swings it, because I'm just gonna have like, in the big blind calling, like I'm just gonna have so many club hands.
Yeah, but like I mean, so many club hands, but also that like triple off, bet big, multi-way on the flop with a fish in there. Like maybe. It
Yeah.
feels like you're more heavily weighted towards value though. And you probably do have all combos of ace four, all the sets, and at least 4 combos of 6-4.
Mm-hmm.
So you do have a significant portion of value. And I don't know that like every single flush draw that you have donks big multi-way.
Okay.
So there is some like
Right, and some of
there,
them are
but-
going to check the turn. Like my 9x of clubs probably fine, check the turn sometimes, or at least check the river. Like,
right. And then you need to have like ace X of clubs that don't squeeze.
yeah,
So ace 6 of clubs,
Right.
ace 7 of clubs, ace 8 of clubs, not ace 9 of clubs.
like ace
And then
deuce of clubs.
Yeah, I mean, maybe you don't overbet jam with ace deuce of clubs, but like it's just a more natural check on the flop, I would think.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, I think the pairs definitely are, but if I was going to bluff a pair, it would be like bottom pair with some sort of backup, I think. And then like, yeah, I don't have like the king jack of clubs, queen jack of clubs, king queen of clubs, those sorts of hands.
No, like because you 3-bet all of those pre,
Right.
So I don't think you have as many like clubs as you think you do. 6-8 of clubs, 6-7 of clubs.
Yeah. 7-8.
7-8 of clubs, maybe. And then
I feel like I could
ace
be like
6,
pretty
7,
wide. I could like with the fish calling in the small blind, maybe I defend down to like, a hand like 7-4 of clubs, 8-4 of clubs, queen 4 of clubs.
Yeah, those hands would be reasonable too.
Yeah.
But still, that's not a lot of hands that we've said.
I feel like when you start adding in those suited broadways, those like broadways with like, bad kickers, basically, that it starts being a lot. Like if king 4, queen 4, jack 4.
Yeah, ace 4 off. There's 16 right there. And deuces, trays, and 5s. That's 9. That's 25. 6-4's 4 more. So that's 29 combos.
That is a lot of value.
It's a shit ton.
Makes me want to bluff this spot way more now.
Well, I mean, go for it.
Yeah.
We'll come back next week on Tactical Tuesday. We can show these bluff attempts where you get this situation. But yeah, I think the reality is you have a lot of value here, and like it's hard to find enough bluffs, really.
All right. So you think smaller size on the river, maybe like
Probably, yeah.
somewhere.
Giving 90% or so, like giving villain 2-1 at least.
Okay. Yeah. I did not go small on the river.
I believe you. You primed me with saying that you only have one size here on the river. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say that one size is all of it.
Yep. And sadly,
Into the muck, ye old friend. Let's see what they had. Maybe just nothing. Ace 9 with the ace of clubs.
yeah. Reasonable
I
call
mean-
on the flop, definitely. Obviously, has to call the turn and then has a pretty easy fold on the river, I guess.
Now that we've broken down the combos of the situation, I think it's a clear, easy fold.
Yeah.
Just having the ace of clubs is bad.
You think going like 90 gets called by ace 9?
Maybe.
Doesn't really matter, but just
Gets
now I'm
called-
curious.
Gets called more often than 2x jam.
Yeah, that's true.
I think good stuff here, though. You are allowed to like put some sims in Pio for donking, right? And actually like see how the situations are supposed to
I
work.
just like to put the money in there and see how it works in real life.
Yeah. Okay, just get in there. Donk about 10,000 more times, and then we'll have some good data, and we can really look at it. Good stuff this week, though. Thanks for the hands. Best of luck donking into the future, sir.
Yeah, next week this is for sure gonna be something that I'm gonna be doing more of.
And by the way, for the YouTube listener, you can see we got our Tactical Tuesday gear on. Going to be heading to Vegas in the next few weeks as well. So if you see me walking around with the Tactical Tuesday shirt on, come say hi. And Jon will, I guess, say his magic words.
See you next week.
He won't see you, though. Only this time.
Thanks for listening to Chasing Poker Greatness. You can subscribe on Apple Podcasts or on your favorite podcast app. Go to chasingpokergreatness.com to get the newsletter, join the Greatness Village community, book a coaching session, or dive into the latest data-driven poker courses. Follow the show on Twitter @CPG Podcast.